And a good Sunday morning to you. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin Cities Subaru, and 802 Honda, all located off of Exit 7 on Interstate 89. Roger Hill of Weathering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. This outlook for this period here, right into the end of the week, and a little talk of next weekend. You're looking at the pattern that possibly changed here, roughly around the 5th or 6th of June. You'll notice that thunderstorm activity then now is pretty much diminished, and we're not going to see that for a little while yet, at least in the areas that were hardest hit, and these areas with producing heavy rain through the lower Mississippi Valley and so forth, in parts of the Missouri River Valley. And now we have this area of higher pressure that has been kind of forced into the region. This is our next weather system. You can see in the last part of that, it's going to be pushing into the region, but not until late in the day on Monday, mostly after 5 o'clock, so that's good news. We have another dry day, in fact, the rest of today, Sunday, as well as Monday. The Outlook headlines: isolated embedded locally heavy thunderstorms Tuesday morning, and gusty northwest winds, gradient winds to follow. They could be marginally strong. It looks like gusts could reach 35 to 45 miles per hour Tuesday afternoon. These are the main concerns for utilities during this period. Temperatures still a couple notches below seasonal normal overall through this week. The warmest days certainly the rest of Sunday as well as on Monday, where temperatures could hit give or take a few degrees either side of 80 degrees. We're looking at temperatures in the 60s, pushing back into the region with the cold front on Tuesday afternoon, and hence that's that marginally strong gradient winds that will be pushing that cooler air. So cooler days now a little bit more backloaded after Tuesday. We have one beautiful day on Wednesday with another area of higher pressure, and then even a kind of a cooler push, it looks like, later in the week. Some indications that temperatures want to keep the indications that we could see temperatures basically in the 60s as the cooler air continues to advect in. And then we warm back up, it looks like, the late part of the weekend and early part of next week. Here's a big ridge of higher pressure. You can see really it's the main influence on our location. We have a surface area of higher pressure to our east, nice slot of dry weather. This is the makings of a frontal genesis of a warm front. That's pushing on in. Let's take a look at the dew point temperatures. They really also show the whole story here. So we have dew points basically in the 30s and 40s. Very dry conditions, a little bug action, and all real good outside activities for today, as well as the first half of Monday before slightly more humid conditions are going to work in. This is going to really affect us with a lot of increase in humidity, but really not until, as it looks right now, Monday night, and you'll feel it probably Monday night and into Tuesday morning. Well, we could pop some thunderstorms, and then, again, that's followed by a weather system, mainly this one up here. You can see those dew point temperatures really rather dry in parts of the prairies of Canada and so forth into the northern plains. That's what we'll be pushing in this weekend. So we'll see a weather system push in, another one follow that, not until along about Thursday night into Friday, with a couple different impulses kind of working on in. Let's take a look at the latest 6-hourly incremental intervals of the European model. Looking at beautiful high pressure ridging across the region here on this Sunday morning and into Monday morning. And then that starts to fade away. We get into a little bit of a southwesterly flow. That return moisture will begin to creep into the region. This is valid at 8 o'clock this Monday evening. And you can see a little tiny bit of precipitation making it into parts of Vermont. This then overwhelms and kind of spreads across a good section here. It looks like the heaviest precipitation associated with some embedded thunderstorms shows right here. That will be before 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. So it's really this period here is a weak area of low pressure kind of tracks on through. It's more of an elongated trough. And then that pushes out, and we're looking at better conditions working in as early as Tuesday afternoon. The only deal is we're going to see a bit of a northwesterly wind, some gradient winds, somewhere in the range of around 35 to possibly as high as 45 miles per hour. Most of this across the higher terrain of the southern Green Mountains, affecting primarily parts of western Windsor County, western Windham County, along those eastern slopes of the Green Mountains with a northwesterly flow. That pushes on out. Area of higher pressure builds in very nice conditions, setting up for basically Wednesday, albeit a little bit on the cooler side, but not too cool. We have the next weather system moving in. This is very similar to the last one. Kind of a part 1, part 2, it looks like here. This comes in on Thursday afternoon. Most of the heavy action appears to be across out over the ocean. Some of the ensemble models keep the primary area of low pressure over the Great Lakes as a little bit stronger. So you can see the two different low pressure systems late in the week in tandem. But this is the one that's going to deliver some thunderstorms with a cold pull aloft. It looks like that kicks in during the day on especially Friday. And then by Friday night, we're just left over with a couple showers. And then improving conditions as a ridge of higher pressure pushes through. But it's a little bit too close for comfort to make an exact forecast here much beyond about Saturday of next week. Looking pretty good here as we start the period here on this Sunday and continue into all of Monday, and it looks like right toward the tail end of the day, this is in very good agreement. This is the GFS ensemble mixed in with the Canadian data as well, and this is our next bigger rainfall. And then drier weather works in on Wednesday. The ensemble says it looks like we could see around the 13th, the morning of the 13th, and into the 14th. That would be Thursday into Friday as our next indicator here, and that matches up very well as well. Yeah, the European model wants to give us a lot more in the way of precip, maybe over an inch, slightly over an inch. And the GFS ensemble is a little bit more reasonable at this point, 0.6 of an inch. We'll have to watch that to see if how healthy that next rainfall is going to be for basically Monday night into Tuesday morning. And then that moves on out. We dry out, and you can see the progression here. Nothing major, nothing extreme indicated at this point. Precipitate water really shows up well for Monday night, Tuesday, and that's what the European's dealing with. So it's going to squeeze out more of this atmospheric water as that high precipitational water field, precipitable water fields move on through this particular metric. It's around 2 to 3 standard deviations. It falls off pretty quickly, and we dry out. Another shot of it again along about Thursday, and then drier conditions to follow on Friday. But we still could see some thunderstorms. We have a colder pull aloft kind of working through the region. 850 hectopascal level wind. You can see winds up around 45 knots, just barely enough to get the job done. Gusts 35, possibly 45 in some of our local mountains, especially the eastern greens as talked about. Quick look at capes. The storms that move in, incidentally, will be elevated on Monday night into Tuesday morning, so nothing locally produced. It's more dynamics with the weather system and that frontal passage. There's the 2-meter temperatures. You can see the 2 warmest days, the rest of today, Sunday, as well as into Monday. And then we cool on down and slight return here on Wednesday with better conditions, and then a little bit of a ramping down before things begin to go back the other way. We're looking at dew point temperatures here, and you can see our high dew point temperatures rise through the night, tomorrow night, and then max out on Tuesday morning before a cold front pushes in sharply drier air, and then we start to ramp that back up. Total QPF from the Weather Prediction Center, 7 days, working with about 1 to 1.5 inches in general. Yep, temperatures are going back down, I should say. Here we go for the next 5 days. This is MOS output statistics for Montpelier, or this particular area. You can see it's weighted about 3 degrees below normal, and then it cools even to 3 to 6 degrees below normal. So the cooling trend is around the corner, unfortunately. This is how it looks with the latest, and looking at the climate reanalyzer. You can see well above normal temperatures in the southern part of James Bay, Hudson Bay, through parts of Ontario and Quebec. It's warmed up in Greenland. Cool spot. It's warmed up in Alaska again. That's for some colder air to sort of work its way into western Canada and then also the western United States, where that big trough of lower pressure has been very consistent and situated. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.